as they actually pulled it to try and get her as much time as possible. Canyon's on his way!
But he's all the way back in base right now. Ping's coming out on where he is. Cuz and BDD looking for the break. Duro doesn't have the smite from some of the spell book. It's gonna be sold for KT! From 5k behind, they find their priceless moment.
How is this for a game one of the semifinals? Everyone is saying it's going to be a Gen G stop, but KT refused to follow the storylines, man. They are just giving everything they've got here. It's still incredibly close. Massive pedal lead, 4K gold lead, but the soul there to generally equalize. And now it's going to come down to the execution. Who can make that big play in what could very well be the final fight of the game? The next one really could decide it.
And Gen G looking towards this Baron, but KT, another breath of life, a big mistake from Canyon, punished beautifully with the comfort. The fact that it's BDD and Chovy left standing at the end of it all, these two players that have been fighting one another, and between these two, Chovy has so often come out on top. The BDD right now, 6-2 on the Yone, picking it in game one, a pure show of confidence. And to me, this game, it feels so even because the Mountain Soul is just so much value. And again, it's only 2 carries. Chovy doesn't even have his pan item finished yet.
And look at how tanky BDD is at this point. He's got his Jack Show, he's got a shield bow, and he has a QSS. So he is very difficult to knock down, but they're on the Baron.
Baron begun by Gen G. KT looking to call the bluff. It's already down to 7k. BDD going forward. There's the Weaver's Wall. Out from Chovy. Peter lands a double knocker, but he's on the wrong side of the wall. The equalizer down as well. Will chip away at Duro. Baron now resetting. Duro down to half HP. KT on the front foot, on the offensive. Chovy looking for a flick. Doesn't land it. It's a shape splitter anyway. That clone from Peter.
That is 2 big ultimates gone though. As both the Equalizer and the Pop Blossom not available, so BDD and his team definitely taking a risk. Canyon is behind him.
Duro looking for that redemption because he's still got the quickness. They'll dive onto Perfect and they lock him down. He dies in the River of Fate onto the back line with the Cataclysm out as well. But Ruler still stands, taken out in the end by BDD, who's now making a swift retreat. Dogdam in the pit, caught out by Duro. The headshot! He loads another into the chamber, but he can't quite get the damage down. BDD looking for more as he sees his teammates fall. He can't find it. Gen G somehow win out the fight.
And the Baron stayed least throughout all of that.
Insanity. What an angle from Canyon. And the CC is immaculate onto Perfect. They layer it completely 100-0. It is all about this engage coming from the top side. Eyes in onto Canyon and Duro finding that engage on Perfect. If Perfect does not just get one shot, if he gets his Zonias off there, I think it's a stomp in the fight for KT. But then Dogdam gets caught in the pit here. Baron is hitting him this whole time. Even though he knocked down Ruler, he can't finish off Keen. And then Peter and BDD are trying to get back in to bail him out, but they just can't. And Gen G again come up with the Baron.
And the fact that Ruler survived there was crazy. Even in the Cataclysm, the bodyguards were there, both Duro and Keen standing tall, making sure, and if there was an Equalizer on top of them, as you highlighted, that would have been it. That would have just been Ruler most likely dead. But now it is this Rebel Baron problem. It doesn't perfectly overlap with the spawn of the Elder, but it should ensure that Gen G will have a full chokehold of the vision in the map.
Just what a crazy game, and you can see Void Staff now there in for Chovy, and he's got 18 stacks on the Mage Eyes. He's basically full build. Ruler's completed his IE as well. So these carries are getting so powered up at this point that one mistake just means you get one shot.
Flashes up across the board for most of Gen G. Only Duro lacking it, has the cleanse and the heal right now. On the other side, Cuz still waiting on his cooldown to come back, but it makes the engage for KT so much harder, because even though Peter now has a flash of his own, the Pop Blossom can be evaded really quickly with that Summoner spell.
And Chovy has flash, has stopwatch, so he's alone in the side lane, can also easily join with the Weaver's Wall, and they're just slowly sieging this. KT, one of the few downsides of that Yone is that ranged wave clear is tough, same for the Rumble, so holding this off is tough.
Stoppable onslaught in from King just to break that trap line, just to break this tower. Weaver's Wall out. Perfect's going to be on the Gen G side of it, but he's down towards the bottom of it and will be able to escape their clutches. The inhibitor tower does fall. Top lane in here below as well. 50 seconds left on this Baron. A couple of waves for Gen G to play with.
Yeah, but it's KT holding on well. No inhibitors have fallen yet. They did lose the one tower, but only 40 seconds left on this Baron.
He goes in, and he tries to seal the fates of Chovy, but he pops a stopwatch immediately. The snapzap gets him. Cataclysm off the backline. Gen G have already lost their mid laner. A GA coming out for KT as they manage to back away. Gen G lose 2. BDD wants to make it more, can't find it, but KT hold on.
The engage from BDD is such a thing of beauty because the Zhonya's loses so much power against the Caitlyn. So they go in knowing that he's going to use the Zhonya's. He uses it, gets trapped out of it perfectly by Doctom. This is just such a thing of beauty, playing perfectly to your comp.
And that's a 2 for 0. The trap, the headshot, and the equalizer. Get the roller coaster, back up, because now it's a 2 for 0, and Elder is about to spawn. We'll see how the death timers play out. Chovy does FTP, Keen does as well. But this game is still ongoing.
20 seconds for the Elder, 41 minutes in the game. KT are looking to set up around it. There's a little bit of vision there for Gen G right now. They do have the TPs on Keen and Chovy. Keen still 10 seconds away.
But no Zhonya's will be available for Chovy, so he's going to be vulnerable.
Teleport comes in for Chovy. KT put up a snap trap line to try and stop them. Peter has that Pop Blossom. They'll look for the Fate Seal. The Elder already down to 7,000. Shape Splitter out. Seismic Shot. Peter gets the Pop Blossom only onto Jhoeraine, but the Elder is secured, and now KT will look to turn the fight. Gen G immediately run for the hills. Keen flashes across the Fate Sealed for BDD. Trying to take out Chovy. Jhoeraine falls on the back line as KT continue to collapse. Cuz dodges the Seismic Shot, but Chovy survives. The Elder doesn't quite tick him down. In the end, a 1 for 1. But KT secure the Elder Dragon.
The KT, they're going to keep looking. They want to try and extend this play. But the trade...
They don't have the waves, they've only got mid.
Yeah, the trade also not the worst, because you'd rather have Cuz be taken down if you're Gen G than Duro, but they are going to keep pushing. The backs are going to have to come through, and mid lane is going to fall, but the wave clear for Gen G might be enough.
Okay, if we watch that, if we get this replay, you have to keep your eyes on the Seraph's cooldown. It came up as the Elder was ticking on him when Cuz went in, and procs as he would have died to the Elder Dragon execute there. That is insane how close it was. I don't know if we're gonna get to see the items. We probably won't, unfortunately. So you're gonna have to take my word for it. Maybe we can see it highlighted later on, but they get the secure here, and KT decides we're going to full send it. Chovy had no Seraphs still at this moment. No Seraphs still at this moment. It doesn't come up until right now as it procs. That is insane. They might have been able to end the game.
And if Chovy doesn't flash the damage on that Cataclysm, that could have been it.
It really could. They call it the Church of Chovy. Well, his prayers are being answered right now. The Archangel on his shoulder saves him. And for Gen G, they're still looking at Elder for the next minute, but it's going to expire. We talked earlier about the side lane waves, the side lane towers still being up. KT have to do a slow march through this top side.
There's a 15-second period here where Gen G do not get to contest. And I imagine KT is going to full send it towards the Baron. Now it's KT that are the ones back in control of this game. There is still a good amount of vision though. Looking at the items, Canyon has GA. And we do not can say the same of Cuz as look
Canyon
at that
spotted.
roller coaster.
Canyon spotted. Canyon spotted. There's a flank ward as well up towards where the Krugs are.
15
if Gen G
seconds.
want to look for it. 15 on the Elder. Baron now on the map again. Gen G trying to step up, trying to face up against KT. The snap trap down. No autos onto Keen. Perfect looking for a flank with that Pop Blossom. The Baron down, taken by KT. Will they still look for the fight, or will they switch away, decide to back away? That's what they do. They'll reset, they'll spend their gold. And once again, they'll face Gen G on the Rift.
I mean, BDD now has his GA. Doctom has a GA. Cuz his GA is going to be coming back up. They're going to have triple potentially here. BDD just sold his. He's actually changing it out, so decides not to go for it. But so much power now in this game. It's just going to come down to one fight. This late into the game, the respawn timers are so incredibly long. And the question is, do they actually try to risk it here on a push? Because there's still a lot of standing gold. Both the outer towers are up in the bot lane. They could go clear those up at the very least. But the question is, will they just try to play towards Elder, or will they play aggressively to try to close this game?
We're seeing there the possible TP ward put down by Duro. Note they can't hold on to the turret, but they can at least do that. Gold's going to be in favor of KT, but as we're saying, we're at full builds for most people here. The Mountain Soul is firmly in favor of KT, but the Petals, 37-4. here for Gen G. Although the relative value of that experience not really gonna match up at this point. And Dokdam and Byeeeeeee, the amount of damage these two players are dealing in these late game fights, full build on these crit carries is disgusting.
90 seconds on this Baron buff. 130 before the Elder. KT marching down bot. Gen G trying to defend. Bolt breaker from Canyon is met by a soul unbound from Byeeeeeee. He snaps back to his team, but not yet to reality as KT are looking to take the first game of their first semi-final over the MSI champions. KT pushing in. Gen G struggling to find a defense right now.
And this all coming down to this. KT on the verge of taking the first game, but Gen G are not going to fall over without a fight.
Keen still that meatball on the front line, but has to pop the ultimate to try and escape. Knocked up, forced away the Nexus Towers. KT's target is Dokdam. Headshots one. The next one for Gen G, that last bastion of defense. The cannon minion still there, seismically shoved underneath the turret. The Baron expires in 40 seconds, and again KT just playing it slow, taking it patient, snapping back again. The Nexus Tower almost down. Canyon dives in, but Peter distracts the rest of Gen G. Canyon size a GA, but the rest of Gen G can't get to him. They've been equalized. The Guardian Angel down on Canyon, meanwhile Byeeeeeee distracting. Generation Gaming. The Cataclysm in from Cuz will build the walls of Gen G's tomb. Gen G taken down by the might that is the KT Coaster.
And that was just game one. What a start to this World Semifinals. Gen G and KT giving us a game for the ages.
And I'm done with it. We are getting excited. This team is in semifinals. They just won game number one. There is no way that we can't give them the credit in this nail biter. They just keep on going.
We're just all so excited for KT with how well they played so far. Incredible stuff. I thought in the mid-game when Gen G had that 5K gold lead, it was done and dusted, but our excitement's through the roof.
Oh my God, I can't believe KT just took game number one. Oh no, give her away.
We're so excited.
Run, Manic.
I'm sorry. No, it's fine, it's fine. They won game one. They won game one. No. Ah, no.
She had to step in, she had to step in, but oh my gosh. I mean, I will run out of superlatives to talk about this game, but yesterday I thought we were being treated. I feel like with this game one, we're in for an insane series knowing that KT withstood all of that.
Docs, they're still undefeated in games at Worlds. Even after playing Gen G, they're undefeated in games. Turns out the roller coaster just keeps going up.
And I thought it was so, like this was we're so back. We're so over. And it starts with the base defenses were massive, Kobe.
They certainly were. And I love that in the Swiss stage, we actually got an early interview with Dokdam, and he talked about late game Caitlyn. Their emphasis of Caitlyn was late game. This one, Byeeeeeee opened it up with the engage, was forced to the Zhonyas, but Zhonyas have really low effectiveness versus a Caitlyn team because they can just put the trap right under your Zhonyas. That's exactly what Dokdam did. He did trap, headshot, net, headshot, and this was the defense that opened the game back up, Emily.
Yeah, there were so many key, crucial moments. I also loved how they used Peter kind of redeeming himself on the Neeko out after a few mistakes early. But there was another massive mid lane base defense, Kobe, that I know you wanted to go over in our HyperX Reflex replay.
Let's take a look.
You just need to catch your breath.
I mean, there were so many late game fights that we have to hone in on them. This was the one where they immediately deleted Cuz, but then Canyon went so deep, ulting under the tower, and you see them section off the fights. Again, Dokdam's able to flash under the tower, puts down a trap for himself, defends himself. Even though Peter goes down, it opens up this kind of pathway, and Byeeeeeee creates so much.
Yeah, you see the amount of space that Byeeeeeee is able to create, setting up for Dokdam to absolutely pop off in these fights. Despite the initial Canyon engage, he's untouched.
Crazy.
Just hitting, and then Byeeeeeee keeps ducking back in and out. Just absolutely insane performance and a really great understanding of how they want to use this composition with the Caitlyn, with the Neeko, with the Rumble. Look at those damage numbers from Duckdom.
Again, the Caitlyn that they emphasized at the beginning of the tournament. They were one of the teams that immediately jumped on it. First couple games, Caitlyn Orianna. Yep. Duckdom interviewed about it, talked about how it's all about the late game for them, how they want to use this Caitlyn, and he really delivered. That right there, that is a roller coaster gold graph if I've ever seen one.
Yeah, I was gonna say, that is a KT gold graph, but as we see these damage numbers coming through, I mean, Genji even had some great setup fights, right? So the tenacity coming out of KT.
I didn't know if I was going to ask it, but what does Genji have to do to recover?
Well, they can't give up Dragon Soul again. Mountain Soul proved to be very, very powerful.
Chovy got Talia 25-4 before that. You know, we've got Ruler on his Corki 15-4 before that. I mean, it's not like this was a game that they were meant to lose at all. Nobody believed in them. But KT win game 1, which sets us up for an unbelievable first semifinal. We will be right back.
An update is required. Financial system updating. System updated.
We will dance together.
The future of money is here. Feels good.
I told you I was done with basic browsers. Your setup wants Opera GX, and you're holding it back. Upgrade to the gaming browser. Download Opera GX. Red Bull gives you wings.
The greatest players in the world are here.
They can just burn this one down. Oh my god, he'll know it by 9!
You are going to see them like you've never seen them before.
Rocket Will as the Arcane Storm doing so much work, and Genji! They are just going to ace them!
누굴 만나도 이길 수 있다는 자신감 정도로만 생각하고 있습니다.
Genji, the EWC winners! Locking down the Drake is now Jhoeraine. Decent position, double
Break down my walls, but I won't rise again. Cause I stand tall in my environment. How could I ever close my eyes and stay silent since they try to take me down with their violence?
Flashes in, and down goes
An enemy's
Every moment of your journey, crystal clear. Landscapes, absolutely stunning. Close-ups, sharp and full of vibe. Group shots, packed with detail. Zoom in on one face, still flawless. Colors so real, every scene, every smile, unforgettable. Oppo Find X9 series, Hasselblad telephoto, zoom into detail.
I got this old thing and the bill from the store where I got it. Figured you could beat it with a better deal on one of these big boys.
Man, it doesn't work that way.
Guess you're not as cool as Verizon.
Bring in your AT&T or T-Mobile bill for a better deal.
You don't know that?
Red Bull gives you wings.
希望加油 ，They are fighting。Tommy 加油。
Your turret has been destroyed.
Welcome back to World 2025 semi-finals, where KT somehow have picked up game 1 versus Gen G.
Lore's gone, right?
Yeah, Lore's gone.
Okay.
Lore's gone.
You're safe now.
You excited?
Well, yeah, I'm done. I've been the guy on the LCK broadcast the whole year that said curses aren't real. Gen G just straight up got outplayed in game 1 by KT. KT haven't lost a single game yet at Worlds.
Yep.
8-0.
We have to acknowledge the fact that they just look insanely good, that clearly the team is working on all cylinders, that no amount of adversity, at least in that first game, was able to get them down, and that they're currently up 1-0 in semifinals.
Yeah, seriously, because it's not even like KT played a picture-perfect game, and you're like, well, can they repeat that? Because Peter, I think, looked nervous at times. He was pretty disjointed from the rest of the team. Some of those engages were not timed well. They got caught out at certain moments. Gen G did some really, really good things. Their play around vision and actually in denying the soul and delaying that and getting both of the Barons. Like, there was a lot of good things that were happening for Gen G. There were some mistakes from KT. But KT were able to persevere, and that's the thing that I think I didn't expect coming into this series is I thought KT could win games, but I thought if they were going to win a game, it would have been like a clean snowball start to finish where Gen G just doesn't seem to be able to get purchased. I didn't expect them to be able to overcome everything that went wrong in this game and still win.
And partly that's because of the way way KT plays, but also partly it's the way that Gen G plays as we get into our Champion Select powered by Omen and HyperX, because Gen G, when they have a grasp on a game, they give you nothing. It is so rare that you're able to fight back against a team like Gen G. So credit to KT for doing that. We'll see if they can do it again, because you have to remember some of their favorite picks were removed in that first pick ban.
Yeah, I'm really interested in this Trundle because Sion's already out, so it makes me think of the Keen Sante as an early pick, potentially. You know, when I think Trundle getting banned, I think about, you know, okay, maybe I want to play Xin Zhao, or I think about playing tanks top. So, you know, higher priority on that for Gen G. And so I'm really interested to see, is KT going to be concerned about that, and will they throw bans towards, you know, either the Keen Sante or something like that Xin Zhao?
And from a gameplay perspective, something we do want to highlight again, I want to hone in on a couple of specific champions. Rumble for Perfect, Yone for BDD, and the Peter, or Peter.
Neeko for Peter.
We really need to highlight those, because from a pure gameplay perspective, it was an expensive game for KT. There were also a couple of the champions that they also love, which are the Sion, the Taliyah, taken away from them. But for me, going in, I also need to see a Gen G be able to do a mental reset. They talked about the weight of the expectations. They are the heavy favorite coming in here today. And losing a game like that, particularly in this long, drawn-out manner where it feels like you are in control many a time, is tough. And I'm looking at Xin Zhao here, and yeah, there we go. I haven't finished my sentence. It has been one of the comfort picks for Canyon. Outside of the Trundle, we haven't really seen any jungler be consistently insane into it. Very well-rounded, and Canyon wasn't quite able to have the early impact in that one when it comes to impacting the lanes. Might have to see something different here.
I mean, pretty much all the kind of like S-tier AD junglers are now going to be gone, because we did see Jarvan taken out early, Wukong is banned, we have the Trundle banned, and we have the Xin picked away. So we think, Kenzie, I was going to say, the more the kind of like assassins and stuff, like Kiana, or things that are a little bit less common, and we are in fact actually going to get a Kiana for Cuz, which, gotta love the confidence, man.
I mean, it's also an LCK Kiana, and I saw Mao flinch a little bit when that was logged in, because as a region, they don't have the best track record with this pick.
Yeah, we really don't, and I think that is partially due to, obviously, LCK playstyle, but also just plain mastery. Even players that I have held in high regard in the past, Canyon used to be a really good Kiana.
That's so weird to me.
Has just not looked good on it whatsoever. The other reason why I flinch is just, to me, KT look best when Cuz gets the impact the early lanes. I think he fulfills a very, very similar role to junglers like Kanavi, to junglers like Owner, that are there to get their team going in the early game, set up a lot of these skirmishes. I do think Kiana, if the early couple of fights don't go well, can really struggle in that regard.
She really does, and for Cuz, he's bringing it out for the first time in his professional career in the first world semi-final that KT have made. It's incredible. The Rise locked in for BDD, immediate answer of Ambessa Galio. Now, Chovy's Taliyah win rate was knocked down a peg in game one, but this Galio so often banned away from Gen G because of how much of an impact their mid laner can have.
So a lot of agency here for Keen, who I think tried his best in that last game, but on sign, I think you're always going to be a little bit hamstrung. Peter gets access to his Alistar, and that Alistar-Kiana combo does have a ton of CC available early on. But if you are looking at Gen G, the amount of backline dive that they have this time around is much more comparable to what KT was playing with in game one.
Yeah, I mean, it's just very difficult playing Kiana into a Galio, right? Because you're really reliant on the grass blade to be, you know, have these kind of like pockets of invisibility, but you can just be taunted out of it. You can be hit by that AoE. And having Keen with more agency in this game, I think, is big, because to me, he was the best player from Gen G in game one. I thought he actually played really well on the side, found so many key moments where he was actually getting picks and setting up plays for the team. And a lot of focus on these defensive supports getting banned away from KT. Obviously, they're going to be playing dives, so they're banning out the Braum, they're banning out the Poppy. Two of those really important defensive supports for Duo.
Sivir and Keen, I was going to say Cassante, taken away by Gen G. KT here, likely looking towards their AD carry. You can pick top because top is already locked on the other side, so you know the matchup you're in, but leaving top for counter pick last is often what we see when you are on the red side. Gen G electing to go on the blue once again. It is the Rex side, so we're going to have the AD carry locked in last for KT.
So I'm looking Ziggs and I'm looking Jhin here, possibly for Gen G. Ziggs a pick that once upon a time really would not have been seen on, being the traditional AD carry guy, but he has added hits to his repertoire, and I think that the combo with both Xin Zhao and Ambessa is really, really strong. So we need to see what they're going to commit towards. This is a lot more safety. Ruler is one of our best Ezreals. does mean that you're going to be playing the Ezreal in what I imagine will be a Kai'Sa. I'm double checking, but that pick is still available as an offer pick into Ezreal for the ability to get on top of it in later fights.
Yeah, and Duro, prioritizing the engage. The other option is, of course, just going something like Ezreal Karma and playing more for the 2v2. But then you are really kind of lacking as far as the primary engage goes. So this feels more like the Gen G style, to just have Duro be that primary engage, be able to have that point and click CC to start things up. And it is, in fact, going to get locked in. And Kai'Sa makes a lot of sense. I think if you're trying to stay safe from the dive, you can play Poke Varus as well and just kind of try to stay back further away. Try to stay safe in that way.
The issue becomes, though, you have an Mbessa, you have a Xin Zhao, and then you have the follow-up from a Galio on top of that. If you do ever get caught as the Varus, you are in for a very sticky situation. Could go for something like the Xayah if you want to be able to avoid that public execution, but Varus does give you good poke. It allows the engage from the Qiyana to be a little bit stronger. You've also got the Chain of Corruption for that extra CC layering.
Yeah, and one of the things I just really like about it is that it has the ability to follow up on your frontline diving fairly deep, right? If you have Qiyana, flashing in for an ultimate, sometimes you can hit that piercing arrow over the top, or you follow up, with the Chains of Corruption. You can have a very high amount of burst, because there is no real true tank over on the Gen G side, so they can be quite susceptible to the damage that Dr. does. I'm definitely expecting it to be Poke Varus. And people just kind of have these different approaches to how they want to play out, against some of these dive comps. So it'll be interesting to see how Dr. can pilot it, because definitely have to stay safe, as you're saying. If you step too far forward, you're so easy to get picked off with that flash.
And after last game, KT coming out of draft, I think every KT fan looked upon that with a lot of relief. There was a ton of comfort, there was a lot of tested, known quantities that you knew your players would be good at. This time around, BDD's Rise, no notes there, but I'm looking towards that Rek'Sai for Perfect and the Qiyana. We've seen both those picks, I think, really vary extremely heavily in their performance in this tournament. And they are very vital parts of the composition. The combination specifically is what's going to get them reliable backline access. But both these teams are basically going to bash their heads into each other. So also going to have to see how both the Ezreal and the Varus survive.
Yeah, what the power of the Bruisers can do in a game like this. And on the side of Gen G, you talk about comfort for KT. Well, Gen G have Chovy's Galio that is 20-3 this year, and Keen's Mbessa that he's never lost on, 10-0 on the pick. So I'm pretty sure Gen G will be comfortable enough, although KT fans will tell us they already got rid of the Taliyah win rate in game one. They've already upset the apple cart, so to speak. KT at this Worlds have been a constant slew of surprises as we get on into game two. Remember, if you are at home, you can log into your Riot account on LoyalEsports.com and watch Worlds live to earn exclusive Worlds emotes, icons, and capsules. Join in, spam those emotes, Gen G looking perhaps for a little bit of an invade. Now, Perfect will see them with that Tremor Sense, and he's going to step forward. BDD and Dr. are here. It's going to be a 4v3. BDD comes across, make it a 5v3, and Gen G wisely back away.
Yeah, not wanting to run any big risks. Want to highlight something that has been more and more prevalent this tournament, which makes sense with the popularity of lane swaps, but it's actually double TP here for both bot laners. Now, we saw it on the Lethality Varus specifically, more and more throughout this tournament, and Ruler has decided to match that. I do think as Ezreal, you get a lot easier away with it than you do as Varus.
And it's kind of something we've seen in previous metas as that evolution. When people start taking the TP, then slowly you start getting kind of sustained out of lane where they're just poking you down, pushing you in, then TPing back and kind of lane locking you. So then people start to just do TP to match. And I agree. I mean, Ezreal is one of those champions that can definitely get away with it. That being said, hey, maybe you get punished later on for not having a cleanse or having a combat summoner. So it is definitely something that I think is really not even a debate, it's just stronger for lane. The question is, do you get punished later on?
Small optimization from Jhoeraine there, going for the W, that shield, Titan's Wrath, to actually be able to walk up into the Alistar level 1. You don't need the hook, you can just walk at him. What's he going to do? Knock you up into the air? You still come down where you're standing. So uses the shield, steps forward, gets a little bit more pressure in the lane, and because of that, I mean, because also they have an Alistar, Dr. and Peter have to step away from the level 2.
You see the early prio found there. That was something that was already a big issue for them in the last game. And then both junglers will be pathing towards the bottom half of the map of these Inzao. If there is a lot of trading, has a great early game dive. Qiyana a lot more conditional as the struggle for Chovy obviously in the early, like first back at least, sometimes even into the second, but once you get enough wave clear, the Galio obviously is able to just shrug off the damage from the Rise.
I'm always just so interested in watching a lot of these Rek'Sai lanes because it has been such a champion that is really hit or miss at Worlds, right? Some people make it look so oppressive where they have you locked under your tower, they're taking down plates, they're slowly pressuring you and just utilizing that sustain to create these big advantages. And then other people are kind of just farming even and then looking useless, right? So we have to see can Perfect perform well on this champ because to me, the early game really does set the tone for what kind of a game you're going to have on Rek'Sai.
Get the knock up here onto Keen with that unburrow. Forces Keen a little bit lower. Keen, he doesn't use mana, nor does Perfect. Obviously, we can just spam through some of those shields, dash around the wave. Does lose at the early game, but with the second wind, with the Doran shield, you're always just going to be able to keep yourself topped up.
And we see Kiana crossing over towards the top side of the map because she has Prio there. Not really able to contest for a bot side. As I say that though, looks like Canyon is looking to match. And that is going to be tough. He does feel confident, I imagine, in the 1v1, but yeah, it's going to be a little bit of a time waste for him. Could be looking towards BDD though.
Towards that middle lane, BDD needs to get the hell out of here. Chovy's on the chase. BDD flashes and face plants in the wall. Gen G claim first blood.
Yeah, BDD I think got a false sense of security. Because Cuz was taking the topside scuttle, I think his read is, oh, that means Canyon is not bot scuttle, so I'm going to play so heavily towards that top side. He was not expecting the Xin Zhao to be there, and I think that really did bite him. Gets completely surprised, doesn't react with the flash, then late flash into the wall. It's kind of just the exact opposite of how last game started, where Chovy died, wasted his flash.
Yeah, that's now 2 for 2 on flashes that make me and Azil look at each other in pain. Because both of those didn't quite hit the mark. I thought actually a BDD's call was just, I am dead, and I'm going to hold on to my flash.
Yeah.
Which, in hindsight, definitely feels like that would have been the play, because now it's the flip side situation where not only in terms of BDD going down, but also because now Chovy is in the one in the matchup that is expected to struggle a little bit early.
Yeah, against a champion like Galio for Chovy, BDD is really going to struggle.